بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الحج حج محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Indeed, all praise for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him, we seek His aid and His forgiveness, we turn to Him in repentance. Whoever Allah guides, none can misguide, and whoever Allah causes to be misguided, none can guide thereafter. I bear witness there is no true God worthy of worship except for Allah, that He is alone without partner to be associated with Him. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is His final prophet and messenger. O you who believe, fear Allah as He should be feared and keep your duty to Him, and do not die except but as Muslims. O mankind, be dutiful to your Lord, the one who created you from a single person, Prophet Adam alayhi salam, and from him created his wife, and from them spread many men and women. And fear Allah, through whom you demand your mutual rights, and do not cut the family ties. Indeed, Allah is ever watchful of what you do. O you believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and always speak the truth. He will direct you towards righteous good deeds, and He will forgive your sins. And whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger has indeed achieved the greatest achievement, meaning paradise. And to proceed, indeed the most truthful speech is the Book of Allah, Al-Quran Al-Kareem, and the best guidance is the guidance of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the worst of actions are those which are invented into the religion, known as bid'ah. And every invented matter in the religion is a misguidance, and every misguidance leads to the hellfire. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, brothers and Islam. First of all, I'd like to start by thanking our brothers for arranging this wonderful opportunity to remind each other about the youth and how they are important and how they should be cultivated and cared for in Islam. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make heavy the balance of good deeds for all the brothers and sisters who are involved here to make this occasion possible. As Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man la yashkuru an-nas la yashkuru Allah." Whoever is not thankful to the people is not thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's Allah to reward them immensely for their efforts today. Brothers and sisters in Islam, first and foremost, before we talk about the social media, know that whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put for the usage of the human beings, in general there is benefit and there is harm. And it would not be correct just to go along and say all the bad aspects of social media, though we know that there is many harms in that. It cannot be denied that there are many benefits to social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram in some cases, and the like. By using these modern means of communication, we have entered into a world that makes life fast-paced for us, but also it makes life a lot easier, more accessible compared to the times of the past. However, as we said, that we always have to look at the advantages and disadvantages of any media that we use. So let us just spend a few minutes to remind ourselves of some of those advantages. Well, first and foremost, social media, many of the scholars and the mashayikh, the shuyukh, they have their own personal pages, and some of the du'at, some of the callers to Islam, in which they offer much benefit, much knowledge to people who would not otherwise have access to these scholars and people of knowledge. The leader or the founder of that site or that page, they have an intention to spread the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is a form of disseminating knowledge. And therefore, without doubt, whatever khair, whatever goodness comes from that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward those people for the efforts that they did for the sake of Allah. Secondly, there are many global campaigns, many issues which can be advertised or talked about on social media. Things which maybe are not really reported in the media, because as we know, the media itself is very biased. It only reports what it wants to, and it's never always in favor of Islam. Rather, too many times, Islam is portrayed, is put in a negative way. So here we have an alternative to show what the real message and the real beauty of Islam is, where it would not be shown on mainstream media. Thirdly, as we mentioned, that social media can be used to spread useful knowledge, beneficial books, articles, translations, video clips of the scholars and the students of knowledge. And all these can be a means of getting knowledge. As well as websites where you can ask questions, where the scholars and the people of knowledge can answer the questions that you may have. And without doubt, it is from our deen, from our religion, to seek knowledge. Also, from the benefits of social media, is that it allows us to communicate between friends, between relatives, especially where we have long distances to cover. We couldn't visit them easily. So social media provides that platform where we can maintain family ties. And this is one of the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to hold firm and to maintain family ties, not to cut the family ties. And to encourage building those bridges between families, between friends, and so forth, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So no doubt, those are the aspects, or those are the things where social media has a lot of benefits, has a lot of advantages. Yet at the same time, there are many parts or many aspects of social media which can fall into the haram, which can fall into the forbidden for Muslims. And of the greatest of the trials and tests that social media users face is the communication that can take place between males and females who are not mahram for each other. In other words, people who don't come under the category that you couldn't marry. One of our scholars, Shaykh Ibn Jibreen rahimahullah ta'ala, was asked the question, what is the ruling about corresponding, sending messages, emails, etc. between young men and women, if this is not something immoral, not dodgy, not messages haram and like that? The Shaykh replied, it is not permissible for any man to correspond with a woman who is not his mahram, because of the fitna, the temptation involved in that. A person may think there is no fitna, but the shaitan will keep trying until he tempts him. Allah yarhamu. This is what the Shaykh, one of our great scholars, gave in his verdict, his fatwa, his ruling. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he commanded those who heard of the Dajjal to keep away from him. And he said that a man may approach him as a believer, that the jihad may come as a believer, until he will try to lead that person astray. Without doubt, when social media users, they message each other, they communicate with each other, they correspond with each other, then this danger is going to be very great indeed. Because we might think we're doing these for the right reasons, our intentions clean and pure, but Shaitan is the one who's going to fool us. And soon after, Shaitan puts in the hearts of those people more than just innocent conversation. For example, when you're on social media, some sites, they have a profile picture. Now, when our sisters, whether it be Muslim sisters or even non-Muslim women, they may visit a social media site, could be on Facebook, could be on Twitter, anything. What is common practice is that you have a profile. And people like to put the profiles up. Yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He commanded the Muslims that when you converse with people, when you ask, specifically for women, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَإِذَا سَأَلْتُمُوهُنَّ مَتَاعًا فَاسْأَلُوهُنَّ مِنْ وَرَاءِ حِجَابٍ ذَلِكُمْ أَطْهَرُ لِقُلُوبِكُمْ وَقُلُوبِهِنَّ. And when you ask for anything you want, by the way, this verse is referring to the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, who are supposed to be not allowed for us in marriage. So Allah says, when you ask for anything you want, ask them from behind a screen that is pure for your hearts and for their hearts. So what about a woman that you are allowed to marry? There's no restriction in marrying. How great would be the temptation in that case? And likewise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He told us in the Quran, in the mean translation, O Prophet, tell your wives and your daughters and the women of the believers to draw their cloaks all over their bodies, mean to screen themselves, to make hijab. And that would be better, that they should be known as free, respectable women, so as not to be annoyed, and Allah is ever of forgiving and most merciful. What is known? That when profile pictures go up, many of the women are not covered decently. No hijab, there may be full pictures of them, and even if it's not intended to, it can be a great cause of fitna, a great cause of temptation. In some cases, in some chat rooms, for example, Pal Talk, sometimes people communicate and maybe they want to send messages, whether it's live messaging or whether it's video messaging or whether it's on WhatsApp. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the believers, O wives of the Prophet, you are not like any other women. If you keep your duty to Allah, then be not soft in speech, lest he in whose heart is a disease, meaning of hypocrisy, or to do something haram with them, adultery, etc., should be moved with desire, but speak in an honorable manner. And again, if we're talking about the Muslim believing women, how would it be then we're dealing with people who don't believe in the Quran, who don't respect Allah's laws, and will transgress them and go past them? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in general ordered our Muslim women folk to observe hijab. Hijab of the body, hijab of the voice, not to tempt somebody, in order that the hearts stay pure and not to give rise to temptation and lusts, to protect their chastity and of the believing slaves as well. So once we understand this, then we know for a Muslim woman or sister, a young woman, it is not allowed for her to put her profile up where it could be seen by people in whose hearts might be something untoward. They've got a different bad intention. Because people, two types. One, they don't put with any intention. However, there are others who put with an intention to attract, which goes contrary to Allah's teachings, or what Allah revealed in the Quran. Is it not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed when He mentioned and warned us about the shaitan? إنما يعمركم بالسوء والفحشاء وأن تقولوا على الله ما لا تعلمون. And he, meaning shaitan, he commands you only what is evil and of the fahsha, illegal haram actions, that you just say about Allah what you know not. So this, it opens the door of fitna, the door of temptations, the door of trials and problems, both for men and for women, for boys and for girls. How often have we read, or you hear about stories, such a person was on the internet and started communicating with a person, so far innocently, but shaitan puts the seeds of envy, seeds of lust, seeds of desire into their hearts, and it becomes more than that. They say there is no platonic friendship between males and females. A platonic friendship means nothing untoward, just mates, just friends. Because the shaitan will never allow that. A time will come where he'll say to one or the other, well, you know what, he's not so bad looking. Oh, she's got a nice voice. She might not be a supermodel, but you know what, there's other things nice about her. Until he puts those seeds of desire and lust in each person's heart. So in the beginning, there was no attraction, even without seeing. But the thoughts are there. And shaitan plays with the minds of the males and females until their communication becomes with compliments for each other, with sweetness and kind words, till it touches each person's heart. And then it leads a doorway open for even greater sins, to then send pictures to each other. How many incidents we know where people have sent pictures to the extent where one person tempts the other person to send pictures of themselves in various forms of undressed haram pictures. And even if they didn't, there are many evil people who will use somebody's picture and morph it, put it onto someone else's body, and create other forms of harm and spread it just for pure nastiness and evilness. And this is where we should save ourselves from being put in that predicament, in that situation. Sadly, some of our sisters who wear hijab, but they believe that putting their picture, as long as they're wearing hijab, is not forbidden according to Islam. A lot of the scholars, they mention that first and foremost, whether we take the opinion of whether the face should be covered or not, the face is a source of temptation. As Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah rahmah ta'ala said, that if a person came to you and said, there is a sister, she's looking to get married. Her face is beautiful, but she may have some deformity in the hands. A man will still may be inclined to go and see her and marry her because of that. Whereas somebody said she's got beautiful hands, but she's got an ugly face, most likely the guy is not going to. So the face is a source of temptation. It's where the beauty is put by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hence, for example, in the salah, the woman is commanded to cover her feet, which is awrah. And the scholars explain that her face is also considered to be awrah. Even if she doesn't believe and she believes in it or she takes opinion that you can keep it open, it is still a source of temptation for people, for the thousands, if not millions of people who will see that picture. And not everybody has a clean heart. You have to remember that. In fact, our sisters and our brothers should remember one thing, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he warned us and he advised us when he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ما تركت بعدي فتنة أضر على الرجال من النساء or من النساء. I did not leave behind a greater trial for my ummah than the trial of women. The trial of women. How many people have fallen by the wayside because of this? How many people started off with good intentions, but the intentions turned sour? I remember when I was at college, and one of the brothers, we were at his house, and he just mentioned something about, oh, mashallah, there's a sister, this. And the mother, she said, son, today he's saying sister. Tomorrow he's going to be wife. Because this is what it leads to. Because temptation. So for this reason, many of the scholars have forbidden for this kind of internet relationship, to put your pictures on the websites, to chat, because of the danger. Even if it may not be considered as khalwa, seclusion. However, what it leads to can be just as dangerous and tragic. And the reason is why is because, first and foremost, no matter what your intention is on social media, there is one other who is waiting, playing his game. And that's none other than Iblis, Shaitan. Let us remind us what Iblis said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قال رب بما أغويتني لأزينن لهم في الأرض ولأغوينهم أجمعين إلا عبادك منهم المخلصين. Iblis said, oh my Lord, because you misled me, look, he blamed Allah. Because you misled me, I shall indeed adorn the path of error for them, meaning mankind, on the earth. And I shall mislead them all, except for your chosen guiding ones amongst them. Shaitan has made his mission. It's his goal. He will try to make things look nice and okay. There's no problem with that. Do it's okay. His whisperings, his waswas. He will make your actions look good to you. He will lead you, or he will mislead you from the straight path and lead you to the hellfire. As he says, ثُمَّ لَأَتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ وَمِنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شِمَائِلِهِمْ. And I will come to them from in front of them, and from behind them, from their right and from their left. Full out assault. The shaitan, he will not let you live your life for a second without trying to get you in some way or the other. Because that's his aim, his goal. Take as many. I'm going to hellfire. I will take as many as I can with me. This is Shaitan's plan. And this, Shaitan has found a new way to bring in those people into his net, to deceive the Muslims by making them think, oh, but I'm involved in da'wah. I'm calling people to Islam. I'm giving my sister, or my brother in some cases, I'm giving him good advice, nasiha, ad-deenu nasiha. The religion's good advice. See how people, the shaitan, will put in their minds, I'm doing good. Will make their actions look fair seeming. Let's be frank. If a man wants to call people to Islam, there are millions of men he can call them to. If a sister wants to call people to Islam, there are millions of sisters she can call. Let men call them men, let women call them women. Why is it that you have to call the opposite gender? This itself is a fitna. In some cases, people spend not minutes, hours on social media. You will see them, not sometimes two hands, and people can do one-handed as well. Wow. And they'll be holding conversations with this one, that one, that one. Yes, and then they're multitasking. Amazing. Subhanallah. Every minute you'll see them when they get on the bus, on the train. Maybe not in the car, maybe even when they're driving, one hand on the wheel and one hand on the phone. That was illegal. It takes over their life. How many times have you seen people, families, one person sat on the sofa, one mum's in the kitchen texting away, dad's in his office, kids are doing their bit with their friends. Where's family time? What happened to a good family dinner, sit down together, talk about the day? No. Social media's fractured us, separated us. We cannot even have a nice one-to-one with a mum or dad, or brother or sister, husband and wife even. This is how we've come to. And even if it's not in terms of the family relationship, just for the sake of being on Twitter or Facebook, whatever it is, wasting time. How many valuable hours do people waste? They get home from school, college or work, straight away on the phone, on the iPad, on the computer. Subhanallah. The wise Muslim should think time is limited. Time is sacred. Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not swear by time? وَالْعَسْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. Allah swears by the time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never swears except by something, by giving it great importance. Indeed, mankind is at a loss. Except those, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, except those who believe and do righteous good actions and exhort each other, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ, and exhort each other towards the truth and exhort each other towards patience. We will not live on this earth forever. One day our timer will stop. We will meet our Lord. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will question us. As Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لا تزول قدم عبد يوم القيامة حتى يسأل عن عمره فيما أفناه وعن علمه فيما فعل وعن ماله من أين اكتسبه وفيما أنفقه وعن جسمه فيما أبلاه. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that a person's feet on the day of judgment will not move on the day of resurrection until he is questioned about his life, how he spent it. And this applies to males and females. About his knowledge and what he did with it. About his wealth and from where he acquired it and on what he spent it on. And about his body and for what he wore it out. How did you do? What did you do with your body, in a good way or a bad way? We are accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Didn't you hear what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said? يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. O you who believe, be dutiful to your Lord. Have taqwa, be fearful of Allah. And let every person look to what they're sending for tomorrow. Let every person look to what they're sending for tomorrow and fear Allah. Indeed, Allah is all aware of what you do. And in the tafsir of this ayah, the understanding, the explanation, the exegesis of this ayah, Umar ibn Khattab, he said, it means take account of yourselves before you are held accountable. A day will come when your Lord will ask us all about everything we did in our lives. And how will we answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if we wasted it? Wasted it. Rasulullah also told us, he said, اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس شبابك قبل حرمك شبابك قبل حرمك وصحتك قبل سقمك وغناك قبل فقرك وفراغك قبل شغلك وحياتك قبل موتك. That, take account of 5 before 5. The first he mentions about your youth, your young age, before you become old. Your health before you become ill. Your wealth, your richness before you become poor. Your free time before you become occupied with it. And your life before your death. All those things is a reminder Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask us. So we spend hours on this social media and we get no benefit from it except knowing about this and that, قِيلَ وَقَالَ, gossiping, he said and she said and they said, giving no benefit, not bringing us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not investing in our akhirah, in the future, the hereafter. How many of us fall into this category that Rasulullah told us about? نِعْمَتَانِ مَغْبُونٌ فِيهِمَا كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ الصِّحَّةُ وَالْفَرَاغُ. There are 2 blessings which many people do not make the most of and thus lose out. Good health and free time. The hours spent on social media, you could go out and do sports, go to the health club, go to the gym, play football, do any sporting activities. And the free time could not be used to worship Allah, to gain knowledge, to go to the circles of knowledge, to read the Quran, to do the adhkar of the Prophet ﷺ, the daily reminders, the daily du'as of the Prophet ﷺ. Every second of the day counts for us. Time has value to it. One of the scholars of the past, Ibn Aqil al-Hanbali, he said, may Allah mercy him, he said about himself, it is not permissible for me, he's talking about himself, it's not permissible for me to waste an hour of my life. When I stop discussing issues of knowledge and debating them with others, and when I stop reading in a book, I would start pondering, I would start thinking. When I'm resting and lying down, and before I get up, I will already have an idea that I should write something down, and I'm keen to increase my knowledge. Now I'm in my 80s and more keen than when I was 20 years old. Subhanallah. These are the people of taqwa. These are people whose lives are for Allah, who know that this life of this world is short and we return to Allah. No one's guaranteed a life to 80, 90, 100. Nobody. Go to the maqbara, go to the graveyard. You will see men and women, old, middle-aged, young adults, teenagers and children. They're all in that little ground space called a grave. كل نفس ذائقة الموت. Every single one of us will taste death. No one knows when or how, in which land. But we'll face it, that's a guarantee. If anything is guaranteed in life, death is guaranteed. Nothing else. That is a guarantee. Some people, they try to use social media in a correct way, such as trying to gain knowledge. However, we have a danger with social media, and that is when people go to someone's page who's not known, maybe, or the belief of a person is not known, the aqidah is not known, And there are many groups and parties who have their own pages and then the guise of Islam. Not all correct. Most of them not correct. And they try to put knowledge forward. And sometimes when we say, I follow Quran and Sunnah, to quote one of our scholars, Allah yarhamuh, remember it was Dr. Israr Ahmed rahimahullah. He said that the Quran and Sunnah is like the wax of a candle. Any way you want to shape it and mold it, you can do it. And there are people who take the Quran and the Hadith out of context and they put it to justify their own opinions. All deviant sects, extremists, terrorists, all come with Quran and Sunnah, trying to mislead people to be part of the group and party. So if you are unaware, you could easily be misled. Hence Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَكْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا. And do not speak and do not follow that of which you have no knowledge. Indeed, the hearing and the sight and the heart of each of those of you will be questioned by Allah. So when we say something, we put something up, or we're reading and we're gaining knowledge, we should be 100% sure that this is authentic knowledge, not from some distorted, deviant group with a different methodology and a different wrong aqidah, belief. That's why we need to go take knowledge from the scholars, from the ulama of Quran and Sunnah who are known, or from their students, the sheikhs, students of knowledge, or from their websites directly, or from their writings and translations. Not from those people who are pretending to be scholars, who are pretending that they have knowledge, or the Google sheikhs, self-taught scholars. Take your knowledge from the righteous scholars of Islam and from their students. One example of people being misled. There is a caller to Islam, a da'i. And he said, there's no need to use fulana, mother of this and that. This is just as a Khaliji thing, it's a Gulf thing, it's a Saudi thing. Okay, this is not Islamic. Really. When Rasulullah referred to Fadl, Amara, the Prophet Sheila Uhud, Habiba, Kulthum, Salama, Sulaim, Waraqa, and so forth. This is a Khaliji thing, this is a Saudi thing. See how people speak with ignorance, who are jahil, who don't know Islam, who don't know the seerah of Rasulullah, can make statements like this, so we lose respect for our sisters and our mothers of Islam. You want to be on a first name basis and lose all respect for our sisters? No. This is the danger of people on the social media websites. This is their brand of Islam. Also, when we come to friendships, how many people get online and they make virtual friends? Number one, when you make a virtual friend, okay, it might be a human being on the other side, but you've just lost that one-to-one face contact, that personal touch. You start losing your ties of kinship. Your family members, you lose them because you now have your online friends. How many youth have got this? How many young people? Online gaming, they're texting each other. They've never seen them even. Best buddies. Use of language, expressions are restricted. They start to use slang words, Their spelling, education they suffer. They do constrictions in words, they shorten words, they don't spell properly. Their circle of friends has become bigger, but now it's smaller, if you understand what I mean. It's all in this little world of the virtual world. SubhanAllah, can you imagine? People, let me rephrase that. Babies, and that's what it is, 2 years old are on the internet. 2 years old. They can open up pages and they can text and converse. Unsupervised. SubhanAllah. Then we have another danger. Where young people are hiding their histories or deleting them, so their parents have no idea what they're seeing, what they're doing. How many young people have been enticed on the internet? Because mum and dad don't know who's on the other side. Predators on children. This is a real danger we're facing. And I'm sorry, many parents, their eyes are closed. Too much trust. But that paedophile on the other side of the screen, what do you know about him? What does he want? Many act as children. They take the persona of children on the profile. They lie about things. How many people have been abused in this way? It's shocking to talk about this, but our communities have to open up and understand it's a reality. It's happening in our communities. It's happening in our schools. Sexting. Yes. Some people might say, oh, why is he talking about these? Astaghfirullah. No. Astaghfirullah, we don't know about these things and we're not aware of the realities. Children as young as 8 and 9. They know more words than you knew when you were 15 or 16 or 17. That's the reality. Because this is what's happening. Our eyes are closed to this danger. Relationships being forged that you don't even know about. How many cases where somebody has run off with somebody else, whether it's a young girl with an older guy, a young guy with an older girl, a woman. Inappropriate relationships on the internet. And not only that, if it's not that, identity theft. A young person may give the information, etc., about where they live, their school, their friends, etc., their address. And this is a very, very big problem on the internet. Identity theft. They take that child's details and they use it for future fraud. Because children have no criminal record. So they will use the child's details. They'll wait 5, 6, 7, even 10 years maybe. And they will get credit cards out and etc., etc. And they'll commit all kinds of fraud. Because these people are very cunning. They're 10 steps ahead on how to get their benefit out of social media. Brothers and sisters, in conclusion, first and foremost, with regards to the Islamic Shari'i ruling, what the scholars talked about using social media, it depends on the intentions of the person signing up. If the person has knowledge and knows their limits, or it's for da'wah purposes within the boundaries of Islam, then the scholars have agreed, no problem with that, because of the benefits that can give to people. But for the person who cannot control themselves, or for the one who's got an evil desire in them, and believe me, desire can set in easily. You have people who are married 20, 30 years, and they will use social media in the wrong, haram way. Whether it's mothers or fathers or grandparents, aunties or uncles, nobody's immune from the evil of social media once it gets hold of you. So if there's no guarantee that you can be safe from it, then the advice, then you need to stay away from it or limit yourself in order to have the least of the evil. We know the reality of our times. It's going to be impossible to stop social media coming into your lives. I was once in Mecca with a friend of mine who is also, mashallah, an imam there. And I was at his house and I was surprised to see television. It's going back a few years. And I was thinking, Imam in Mecca, TV, not a small, big TV. I had to ask, I was curious. Sheikh, you know, normally in the West, we have this kind of image or picture that in Mecca especially, the shuyukh, the Islamic, no TVs and like that. But what made you to get a TV? He said, Akhi, listen, my children, they go to the neighbors, our aunties and cousins. They will find a TV there. If I don't have it in my house, Shaitan will come to them, and when they're over there, I can't control what they see, what they do. And they will make excuses to go here and there. I have no control. Rather than have them be forced to go elsewhere, I have it here, and I put the Islamic channels, the cartoons, beneficial things for them. It's in front of me, they watch, no problem. At least they benefit from that, and we try to control it as much as possible. This is the hikmah in it. And some of the scholars have said, TV itself is not haram. It's made of glass components, plastic, metal, etc. It's how it's utilized. If it's utilized for haram, it becomes haram. If it's utilized for halal, it's halal. And I've remembered that was Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah. So yes, as parents, as elder brothers and sisters, if you know there will be, it becomes our collective responsibility to know what they're doing, to know who they're communicating with, to know what they're looking at, in order to minimize the harm and to make use of any good that they may get from that. And this is what the scholars have advised. Parental responsibilities lies not only in supervising where children have been browsing and communicating, but it also lies in how much time, and it's not only our children, for us, youngsters, youth, adults, elderly even, to limit the time that we have with these things so we don't fall into that which causes us harm in the hereafter. So I leave you, brothers and sisters, with two pieces of advice. Two warnings, two advices. One is the ayah of the Quran and one is a hadith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, يا أيها الذين آمنوا ادخلوا في السلم كافة ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين. O you who believe, enter into Islam completely and do not follow the footsteps of the shaitan. Indeed, he is to you a clear enemy. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, كلكم راع ومسؤول عن رعيته فالإمام راع وهو مسؤول عن رعيته والرجل في أهله راع وهو مسؤول عن رعيته والمرأة في بيت زوجها راعية وهي مسؤولة عن رعيتها والخادم في مال سيده راع وهو مسؤول عن رعيته. Each and every one of you is a shepherd over his flock. So the imam, he's responsible over those under his care. And the man, the male of the household, is responsible over his family, his wife, and she is responsible over his wealth and his children. And the servant or the slave or the person who's working for you is responsible over your wealth So every one of us has a collective responsibility in some way or other. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He makes this reminder useful for each and every one of us today. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives me and forgives you, overlooks our sins and increases us in iman so we may do righteous good deeds and be raised with the prophets and the martyrs and righteous on the day of judgment. Subhanak Allahumma bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk wa jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum.